Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Ethan Vong.
I'm Alyssa Wishnev.
I'm Geneva Vasquez.
And I'm Jesus Villatoro, and I approve this message. Both Plato and Aristotle are suggesting that education is an important part of moving towards a happy and good life. What do they each convey on this matter? I guess I can start it off. What I end up understanding from Aristotle's point of view on this topic, I guess, was more of how can you say, like, education, good education will help us strive for that excellence that we are trying to achieve in virtue, right? And the way Plato goes around to, like, kind of piggyback off of him would be that he gives a scenario where people don't have education and that hinders them. Mm-hmm. So this is what I've understood. So they're saying different things, but if you put them together, it kind of says the same thing, I think. But what are you guys' thoughts on it?
It was not covered in the reading. In the lecture, she said that Plato and by extension Socrates' moral theory is that doing wrong things is the consequence of ignorance. So you only do wrong things when you don't know it's what the right thing is, or you don't know that it's wrong.
Yeah, and then that's why Plato says lack of education,
Yeah, but
it's gonna.
They're saying the same thing, but Aristotle's more like going more depth about it.
Yeah, he's actually given more. Well, from the readings that we read, I think Aristotle definitely gives more information and goes more in depth on it than I would say Plato, because Plato's just a weird.
Do you know what else Aristotle said?
About like.
Yeah, like those things, like acrasia. And
I mean, yeah, okay. Like he believes that acrasia and like unqualified knowledge, right?
So, question. So when we're talking about Aristotle, we were talking about acrasia and then being impetuous.
I agree.
So having acrasia is what Aristotle believed, because the only difference was that one, they have vicious appetites and in habit of giving in, knowing they shouldn't. But then Plato says that people are impetuous, which is the same thing, except the last one, they don't think anything is wrong.
Well, yeah, but there's also, I think the other one was weakness.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know where I was going
That's
with that,
in the habit of giving in, so you can know
Quick to
it's
action.
wrong.
Wait. Did impetuous?
I spelled it wrong, but
Did you take?
Was it Plato who said
Yeah,
that? I thought it was still
It was
Aristotle.
I didn't know
Who
that day.
said that, right?
I
That's why I was like,
thought
what is
that
So I thought
it was
that was
Plato
Under the
because
two,
What are you guys asking?
okay, acrasia, right? Weakness, impetuous.
Mm-hmm.
They were both of those categories of acrasia were what Aristotle said.
Yes.
both of them.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
both categories of acrasia. And then there's one more part, which is
Unqualified knowledge.
that? What was it?
Unqualified knowledge.
they still agree. So Plato and Aristotle still agree that if you have unqualified knowledge, which is knowledge where like you know everything, so there's no qualifications. So you don't have to say like I know this is a tangerine because like it's orange. You just know it's a tangerine.
I thought it was a cutie. Am I wrong?
That's the brand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought,
Like chapstick.
What is chapstick?
Guys,
Chapstick
this is off
is-
topic.
Wait,
okay.
is that a brand?
Yes.
Wait, what is
It's lip balm.
Oh shit.
that's the actual thing.
Guys.
Wow.
Lip balm, like
I didn't
Dio's
know
Well,
lip
that
balm.
that
I
goes
know that.
right into like what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay.
If we don't know that knowledge,
So they
you're
still
gonna
agree
keep
Yeah.
on going thinking.
that if you
the
knew
wrong way.
everything, you wouldn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They think that our natural state of being is inherently good, and they think that when we do something wrong, something has to stray us, which
Just
I thought was interesting.
this is a little
I think
more.
Kant like kind of.
Can you say that again? That when you do.
That our natural state of being is inherently good, and that when we do something wrong, something has to stray us. So it's not just of our, I guess, I could be wrong, but from what I'm taking from it is that it's not just like necessarily just a
Like
choice.
it wasn't like your free will. Is that
Yeah.
something, someone?
Yes, like your lack of knowledge or lack of education is the reason why you're straight.
Wait, so you're telling me people do bad things just because they feel like it?
Some people do, and some people
Unfortunately,
leave.
yes.
And it's like
Well, I
you're
don't
saying.
think he thinks that way though.
No, that's what she.
No.
That's why she disagrees.
Oh.
That's what she thinks.
Yeah.
Oh, so you think that people do things because they want to?
I
And
think
he-
that it's a
okay.
case by case kind of
Yeah,
thing.
okay.
But yeah, how it's not like a blanket statement for everyone that something has to stray us.
No, I
Because I feel like something can stray us, like temptation or whatever, but I feel like it's not always like a need that something is gonna stray us.
It's not.
I know he believes that. I don't mean
Yeah.
to go into the but what ifs, but like,
Well, that's
I
what
feel
we're
like
having.
I feel like there are definitely people who are like just born wrong.
Yo,
Yes.
yo,
I
yo,
listen.
yo,
not
yo,
not
yo.
like, but like to think that people who enjoy like ripping fingernails off people just for the fun of it.
That sounds very rational, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I
So
feel like
it
yes,
was-
you're true. There are people that are born wrong,
Sorry.
but that's where that's what they're talking about. That's what she's asking the question about, that education,
they just
right?
wanna be-
More than likely, those certain people that do act on those, they probably didn't have someone leading them down the right path. They probably another scenario could be that they just hid it well, and they didn't want people to know, and they're acting it like behind the scenes, which is
Okay, but like the truth is, like psychopaths exist. There are people who enjoy
Yeah.
killing
Yes.
other people just because that's the way they are. And the way Aristotle deals with that is he doesn't consider them agents, so they don't apply. Like this whole thing doesn't apply because they're not
Mhm.
capable of being rational.
That
I was
makes-
trying
That
Okay.
does make sense.
That
I was
makes
trying to
sense.
include him in the sense where like if we could
I think
try
I was
to do
also
that.
trying
Because
to.
there's
good
also, like,
education.
the people who have had like a good mentor, but then they still stray. Why?
Then you can.
Those are exceptions, obviously.
They're weak.
Like for
But-
example,
Murder Ethan.
no Kung Fu Panda.
What the fuck?
Oh,
my bad.
But you know what I'm talking about, like the tiger,
Yes.
the snow leopard.
Akrasia.
That's Akrasia?
Yeah, because he wanted to be the dragon warrior so bad,
Oh,
and that vicious appetite, he
Ah.
gave into it
I see.
and went
You're talking about the white tiger, not
The
the
snow leopard.
Tao Long
yeah.
The man.
The man. There you go. Okay.
to the baddie.
The male. The
Sorry. Sorry.
We're supposed to glaze over that, bro.
Anyways,
Have you guys not seen that?
Oh yeah, I guess he does fall into that. That
Which
whole
one?
like there aren't
we
an
still-
agent, I guess you could say, because or he came back around.
No, yeah,
I have no
he,
idea.
He's
I-
reasonable.
I
He's definitely
barely
reasonable.
watched the first
He
one.
came back around.
No, he did
So
not, bro, did he?
and I
Okay.
feel like that's where education comes in. Like
What time is it?
possibly you're not one, but you can possibly come back around and
So like,
Okay, we should move on
fill
to
the gaps that you previously had in your self mastery.
That's facts.
Mm.
Anyways,
Bars.
Plato provides a hint of what a good life looks like in the allegory of the cave. Do you see this represented in Aristotle reading? If so, in what ways?
provide the hint of what.
Yeah.
Oh well, eudaimonia, right?
Oh, wait, you might
Like
be
virtue stuff.
Yes, the good life.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about that, like eudaimonia, you need to have experience and education, right?
He's saying that eudaimonia is an experience, so like it's not something you obtain and
Mhm.
have forever.
But
It's something you have to keep doing.
Yeah, but you get it through experience.
Um,
I mean, you still
And
have
more
to
than-
always keep
And more
going.
than more
but,
than likely, if you reached it, you're gonna keep on
Yeah.
being
but
in
like you
there.
don't start.
More
with
than
it,
likely. More than likely. There are-
right? You can't start with it.
mm.
So it
And you
takes-
can't say
Yeah.
that you've reached it until
yeah,
you
from what I understand, you
Yeah.
can't start further. You reach it later on
Yeah.
in your life.
So yeah.
But
And it's similar to Plato because, I mean, it's probably biased. If you think about it, all these philosophers are telling us we should pursue knowledge from like that's kind of a biased position because they're philosophers. Like we need like an opinion from someone pursuing ignorance, honestly. Like,
What do you guys?
I mean, it makes sense.
I would say like personally, like it feels self motivated, you know? They all say the way to live is the way I'm living.
What do you think he's trying to say with the beginning part that Plato provides a hint of what a good life looks like in the allegory of a cave?
Yeah, he says
I
that.
don't think
Like-
there was a good life in there.
Well, okay, because the light.
Yeah.
You know how he like goes out of the cave and then he sees like the light.
Mhm.
That's like him hinting at like the good life, having knowledge and education and
Oh, I was thinking like in the cave. Like the allegory
the
in the
light.
cave. I thought it was like
no,
what's a good life
it-
in the cave?
the
I'm like,
scenario
bro, I feel
is
like
called
chained up and
That's
Al-
a good life,
okay.
bro.
I was like, how is that a good life? Like I'm like
How would you
that's what I was
advise
thinking. I was literally
Yeah, no,
thinking
it's
in
about
the cave.
after.
Yeah.
someone?
Like she's talking about the cave as a whole, like the cave
Yeah,
and when
because
it
that's
comes out,
what
like
the scenario
the
is called.
representation of being in the cave, out the cave, and okay.
You guys ever been drunk though? That's kind of a good life thing. That's like being in the darkness, you know what I mean?
He's
No, that's
really
like-
going.
no,
he
that-
really wants to edit this.
No,
he really
I feel
wants
like-
to have to edit this up.
No, I mean like you don't have to edit it out.
That's good. That's good.
I feel like that's going.
That's-
I
I'm
feel like
contributing
that's.
to the conversation.
I feel like that's going back into the cave.
Yeah. See.
How old are you?
19. Okay, I've never been drunk. As you guys.
Okay.
Oh yeah, me either.
Okay.
Oh yeah, me neither. I've never been drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy, that's crazy.
Where were you going
Oh,
with
That's
this?
crazy. And you were in the military.
Where
That's
are
crazy.
you going with this?
I just playing devil's advocate, but he was saying, I mean, he thinks the good life
Sorry.
is, even though, you know, it kind of sucks.
But I feel like that scenario is going back into the cave and being like constricting, like
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
willfully constricting yourself.
By going
And
back into the cave?
And Plato's
By
saying,
like we're saying like the drinking
yeah,
part.
to drink yourself away.
I feel like
oh.
I feel like you're
Choosing.
willfully
Yeah.
putting yourself back into shackles in the cave
Mhm.
if you overly indulge
And do you see how,
into
like,
it.
someone can make the argument that that's, like, a good thing? Like, that's the good life.
Because you feel good?
Uh-huh.
Instant
But it's not in your best interest though.
Yeah, so
But
that's
that's what he means by good life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So he's saying that even though it sucks to like go to become enlightened, to learn all these things, and people will hate you and think you're crazy, he's saying they say not to quote, but like he would much prefer to labor as a common serf, serving a man with nothing to his name, putting up with anything to avoid holding those opinions and living that life. And that's what the good life is to him. Which I mean,
What page is that on?
222.
that's not really helpful, though, honestly.
Well,
It's
yeah,
the third
it will
page.
say
It's the
222.
third page. It's third page. Of the Republic.
It's in like the D.
Between D and E.
The last sentence of that paragraph.
I see.
Yeah, it's
I see.
awfully romantic though. Yeah.
You see this represented there, we just
Yeah.
kind of touched on that of the
They both say you need to pursue knowledge.
basically that knowledge is what's gonna get you there,
Okay, it's not.
or it's a strong stepping stone to getting you to that well like the what is it, like that eudaimonia, whatever.
It's just literally happiness. They literally say it's happiness.
Guys, can we talk about the virtues? Like the scale, the talent.
The intermediate.
Yeah.
Or like not too
Wait.
excessive
You had it
and
in
not
I had
too,
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like where you like overcompensate or undercompensate.
yeah.
Okay, it's actually right.
And that's,
Yeah.
and that's what I brought up that point about reaching that excellence. You know, the excellence is finding that good middle
Yeah.
of not going over or under.
I just think it's
Mm.
interesting.
What did you think?
I
about
agree. I
that?
think it's really interesting that you can always do too much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And doing too much will hinder you.
Wait, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, you can always do too much,
Uh-huh.
but Kant is always talking about like for example, never lie. What was it?
You're right. Those are
Perfect.
extremely extreme.
Perfect.
That is true.
What is it? Perfect values.
Oh
duties,
yes,
duties.
perfect duty.
But if Aristotle's like, yo, you can go over,
Mhm.
and he's like, nah. What?
Mm.
That doesn't. Those kind of like
Mm.
contradict, don't they?
You're
Yeah.
facts, bro.
Yeah, Kant is a very extremist.
Yes,
Um,
absolute
very
What?
absolute in what he's
little flexibility.
and literal.
Yeah, I think there's little flexibility.
Well, I feel like the reason he said that is more of a broad spectrum of follow this, right? And with the virtues and everything, when they mention that, I feel like that's going into detail on a specific, right? But Kant is basically, well, from what we read, he's just like laying down a whole big structure, and and if you're gonna put very like you're gonna go into depth of detail in everything, then I feel like he might lose some people because he's like overly explaining. It's gonna take too long, so he just wrote down like basic rules. Like that's like what I understood what she was saying, that he wrote basic stuff for everybody just to like look at it and abide by it. Obviously, everything can be broken down more in depth, and I feel like that's what the other writers got into, but Kant was more broad. I feel like so when you're saying that he's saying I always say the truth, that's just because he's broadening it. I'm pretty sure if we read later on in the text, he might go in depth of what that actually means. Because even she was telling me later in the text, he puts different scenarios of what those loopholes are and everything like that. But the beginning portion we read is just a structure.
Speaking of Kant, guys,
I feel like maybe that's what I understood from
Yeah.
the whole thing.
why
On that.
is the distinction between a hypothetical imperative and a categorical imperative important for Kant's moral theory?
Before we go there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
actually no, I lost my train of thought. So never mind, we can go there.
Like I want to know now.
Well, okay, because I think now that I'm thinking about it, because I think Aristotle thinks about it as like if you are always truthful, you like can't hurt people's feelings, and right. And I think he thinks about that. I think Kant, he doesn't really take like he knows that it'll happen, but he just doesn't think that it's important.
I think he's like making policies.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In this reading, I feel like that's what we're getting because we only read like his structure.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what I was saying. Like, she even explained it. If we were to read the rest of it, he goes into detail and gives more examples of what he means about the truth.
No, I don't think he'll like ever be, because that's not like his realm. You know, he's very decisive.
That's but she said that the later passage goes into depth and gives like certain scenarios.
Yeah, like the duties.
On it.
We've already seen some like the duties he showed. They're scenarios, but he's still very decisive. Even so, like that's why a lot of people don't agree with him. Even though he goes into it, he's still like the same decisiveness. Aristotle's different, and I think it's just because. Never mind.
More compassionate.
Maybe.
They just have like different points. Like this is a debate you can have. This is not a debate everyone has. This is the debate you have in your head, whether or not you're doing too much or too little or reaching the moon. That's something you argue for yourself. Aristotle is saying you should have this discussion for yourself. Kant is saying you should never lie, not because you shouldn't even have the discussion of whether or not you should lie, because you should allow everyone to have their own reasoning, and if everyone does their own reasoning, they'll reach the same conclusion as him. I mean, that's a big one.
Okay. It's a good one.
Do you want to start off the next question?
The one he just read? Wanna read it again?
So
No, she's got it. Dude, she's gotta watch all of these. That's crazy. That's like.
so I actually lied.
Why is
The papers.
why is the distinction between a
Same.
hypothetical imperative and a categorical imperative important for Kant's moral theory?
I literally can't.
I,
I can go off of what
You
other
got
people
the
say,
next
but I
one.
literally can't. Like,
Well,
In general, or like just for this one?
I mean, okay,
the reason
they're
why
important, right? Because one is to gain something, one is just to do it out of doing it. Because it's right.
I agree.
I feel like I just described what they are and not actually why it's important.
Well, yeah,
Well,
but they're defined.
because it's important because he leans towards categorical imperative, so he has to describe any other thing and kind of say like, this is why I choose this. This leads like the hypothetical is a way of thinking, but I don't really like it because this seems more reasonable. This is more true.
I don't think he's saying he doesn't like it, because that would be just like becoming a lawyer, right? That's not inherently bad.
He's just saying they're different.
Yeah.
So he's defining them relative to each other. So
I have a question though.
yeah.
So we know that Kant his stance is the categorical imperative and like living that out for us. But the hypothetical imperative, would I be able to be like, oh, this person believes the hypothetical imperative over Kant, who believes the categorical imperative, like Aristotle or Plato? Like, are there other philosophers who would probably help me recognize why it's important? Because I would see their side of the story.
So
I
you're
guess.
saying sometimes the hypothetical imperative overrules the categorical?
Not necessarily. I'm kind of saying like how we've always talked about it as hypothetical versus categorical.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm kind of seeing it as in Aristotle versus Kant.
Okay.
Like if that's a possibility, if they're like, I don't know. But I don't know, because thinking about the hypothetical imperative, the definition that I had is what she said was, here's the good to get and this is how.
Mm-hmm.
And then the categorical is like what I should and should not do. But I was just asking because I could kind of relate it to Aristotle, I think, but also not completely. So I don't know, but I just
you could Aristotle is saying it's more hypothetical.
Yes. That's what
Like he's
thinking. But
like
I brought it up just to see what you guys thought.
Yeah, you
I
need to
guess.
get his ideas
Yeah.
and thought process. If you were to transfer it into the Kant world, you would say his thoughts would be more leaning towards hypothetical.
Aristotle would take the hypothetical imperative and apply it to his spectrum of virtues and he would decide whether or not to violate the categorical imperative based on whether or not.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
But I don't know. I was just.
Yeah.
We forgot to say names.
Oh, it's fine. We'll edit it. Let's say it right
We
now.
just do it at the end.
We could do it at the end. We can move to the front. Yeah.
Anyways, sorry. Okay.
I think also that when she was talking about Kant, she was saying that the hypothetical is subjective and that the categorical is like a blanket statement for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
That would be the difference. I would say, yeah.
Anyways.
And that difference is important because Kant is trying to tell us what everyone should do all the time. That's his whole thing, I would say.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of leads into question 4. Like,
What's question 4?
In what ways is Kant's approach to how to determine which action is the moral one different from Aristotle's approach?
Well, we were just talking
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's
then
like,
see, without realizing
Sorry, I jumped into that.
no, it's a good thing because like without even thinking about it,
Yeah.
you were already thinking about how like, oh well, that kind of he went more categorical. I think this guy's going more hypothetical, and now she wants us to like really like define it like.
I think, well, Kant's is obviously right, like the golden rule, but like more, right? A higher standard of like how would you want everybody to treat everyone, not just how would you want treat others the way you want to be treated.
Mhm.
And then Aristotle's is kind of just like,
It analyzes
I think
the
your
hypothetical imperative. So it's saying if the hypothetical
your
imperative
inner
is
goal, but without hurting others.
yeah.
So definitely hypothetical, because if like Aristotle's more like, I feel like he's more of that. He might tap into a little bit of categorical,
Mhm.
but it's more hypothetical because he's talking about like how you're gonna, what you're striving for, but don't let it hurt others is what I understood. His
Mm.
gist of it, and that literally basically entails hypothetical.
Did you guys read the bonus questions?
You read them?
Yes.
Do you guys like them? You wanna do them or not?
Maybe the question 5.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
What did you find most interesting or surprising about the argument from Plato, from Aristotle, and from Kant?
Well, Kant, but it's so like kind of generalized.
Mhm.
Doesn't really take an account to scenarios, which I know is the point, but
Yeah.
He's trying to like minimize the scenarios, I feel like, and he just wants everyone to lead into just one way
in which
of thinking.
I guess in the categorical, it's like it's
Just one way
because
of
you
thinking.
want everybody to do it. It's put to like a higher standard, so it's harder for things to get in there instead of just like the hypothetical.
Mhm.
So I think that is good in a way.
I already mentioned this before, but I thought it was interesting that they all thought the way to live, to achieve eudaimonia, to be morally right, was to pursue knowledge and be perfectly rational.
I think it's not even.
Huh?
No, but
I
What'd
think
you say?
I think in the
What did you say?
something about ignorance.
no.
Are you calling me ignorant?
No, I was
I knew it.
I was saying that you said I was repeating a point that you said about bringing ignorant people into the conversation.
Yeah, we should have someone just dedicated to knowing as little as possible and see what he says.
I feel like but in general, I feel like all three kind of had one thing that's just, they're all striving for
Goodness.
like a goodness,
Mhm.
like a happiness, right? Whether it's more internally and self rewarding for yourself, or self rewarding for everybody. But I feel like they're all literally talking about like you said, like goodness.
I think it's interesting though that goodness isn't like good. It's like good for yourself, like self-interest.
Yeah.
I think because you would think that goodness would apply to like everybody, which it does, but like the way that they describe it,
I mean,
I think is more like self-interest, like going against
yeah.
like right and wrong. They think right is
Mhm.
going for your self-interest, wrong is against your self-interest. So I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
But they're also saying that if you're perfectly rational, your self-interest will never hurt anyone else.
Yeah.
So
I was
like you would
also-
never steal because that would like somehow weigh on you so much morally, like
Mhm.
that you wouldn't be able to do it. Like it would hurt you more than that would benefit you.
I feel like one thing that's interesting, I forgot which one I put it in, but she asked a question in one of the templates of how one of the ideas can or like play out later on, and I feel like Kant's way of thinking down the line would probably diminish our self-drive as human beings. Because one thing that, like an example of what can go against what Kant's thinking is like, you see all the millionaires and everything, right? They provide jobs, they do all these other stuff, but like, yeah, they've created jobs for people, right? Which is good, but doesn't mean that the job itself is too good. There are some people that are being taken advantage of, right? But why are they being taken advantage of? Like, let's say like the iPhone. The reason why it is cheaper is because there's stuff that they outsource or they have someone else do it at a cheaper price. Because if we were to do it all, like if everyone wants to get paid like the right amount, like the same amount and everything, right? I'm pretty sure that the price of a phone will like triple, maybe, right? So there are some stuff that 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 content idea might like stop down the line, because if they're doing it for self-interest but it actually creates a type of growth, a priority compared to others, I feel like our human self-drive will not will diminish and at a certain point like stop, and I feel like we might not even progress in life. We might just be comfortable, like let's say no one has a car, everything's close by, we're just all gonna be happy, comfortable, but we're not gonna have a drive.
I think I know what you're talking about, because Kant talks about what you shouldn't do, and then a lot of things you shouldn't do, like lie or manipulate people. You do that out of self-interest, and so
Sometimes those self-interest, but they're doing that in their self-interest, which but within their self-interest we kind of gain a little bit.
And you could say you could just have like everyone like just desire
But
progress for all of humanity,
but
but that's like fundamentally weaker than just like wanting stuff for yourself. I think.
Yeah, but I was just think I was kind of my mind kind of went that route of like I feel like if we do go with Kant's theory, right, there his way of thinking, I feel like down the line we're not gonna be striving for anything. We're just gonna be at a standstill, like a
Yeah, that's just because.
I mean, people can still have goals.
Yeah.
But some goals are achieved through being like
Hypothetical.
hypothetically, right? Some goals are achieved through
And he says that's
like
okay.
taking advantage
He
of
says that's
others.
okay. Oh.
Well, I mean,
as long as it doesn't do that.
I mean, you can have goals that don't take advantage of other people, like
You can have hypothetical imperatives that don't
Yeah.
violate categorical imperatives.
like
Like,
being a lawyer. you just go to class, take the LSAT, and then you're a lawyer. Boom.
I didn't know like that. Wow.
Easy. Who would have thought? I mean, okay, obviously then you go to school, learn what corporate lawyers. Never mind. Sorry, off topic.
But yeah, that's
I
just
think
like
I'm straying off.
that's kind of like where my mind went to,
Like defense lawyers.
I'm just saying
He's saying
I'm just saying in a like
the
in a
top
general,
people in this world are selfish. They're
and
self-motivated.
and that in a sense kind of propels us
Yes.
forward,
Oh,
Okay.
and that is kind of their selfishness breaks through a lot of technology and a lot of other like infrastructures, and that propels humanity forward. But it kind of sucks that that there are people that are taking advantage of others, right? It's not right, but we kind of benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, is it right then? I mean, like, humanity's better, right?
And that's what I'm saying. And if we all go in an equal playing field, and we all don't try to hurt each other, take advantage of anybody, like I don't think I don't think
Yeah.
this technology and everything that we've broken through, I don't think that would have
Wait,
been
I don't
achieved.
think-
Imagine if we didn't force children to work in sweatshops. That jewelry,
Yes,
we would
and
never have that. We would
Exactly.
never have that. And I think that's worth. I think that might be worth it. I think so.
same thing. Your phone, my watch, my laptop, all this stuff.
Never mind.
That's just what I'm thinking,
That-
right?
I
But
mean,
if we all,
we can't stand in the way of progress, even at the cost of.
I mean, well,
Cost of
they
what?
think you can. Kant especially, right?
Continue.
Because
Yeah.
he doesn't care about the consequences of things. He just wants to do what's right.
Yes, because Kant never looks at the consequences of anything really.
Aristotle does.
Yes.
He's like, yo, it's hurt people.
Yeah,
Wait,
so
Kant
Kant's
doesn't
point of view
Well, at
doesn't
least
really
in-
look at the end goal of like the consequences that happen. He's looking at, I guess, the way that we get there,
Yeah, or just
and then Aristotle's looking at how it, like when we get there, like what impact it'll have. I guess.
That was a great discussion, I must say.
yeah, guys.
You said we're done. Turn it off.
Well.
Yeah.
You said.